Good morning, everybody. On behalf of Vetiva Capital Management and our media partners at Frontier Africa Reports, we would like to thank you for joining us on our breakfast meeting this morning. It is Wednesday, the 15th of September, 2021. As always, this meeting is being recorded and the audio file may be shared with third parties. The meeting is also being streamed live on our Vetiva online page on Facebook and is set to last for 30 minutes. On our agenda today, we will get a recap of yesterday's activities from Symbiot from our Global Equities desk, after which we will move to Sheikh, who will give up the updates from the BVRM. After this, we will move to Omorige, who will give us fixed income and currencies, and we will conclude with Justina from Frontier Africa Reports and their updates. Over the course of the meeting, if you do have a question, you may use the Q&A box and we will treat your question after all speakers are done. We will now start off with Symbiot from our Global Equities desk. Good morning, Symbiot.
Good morning, Dozie, and good morning to everyone. So I'll be doing a quick recap of activities in the Ghana Stock Exchange and the Nigerian equities markets. And starting with Ghana, a total of 10 equities participated in trading, with the session ending with just one gainer, which was Cowbank, and also one loser, that's MTN Ghana. However, the 1.59% price appreciation in MTN was enough to drive the index out as it closed down by 79 basis points yesterday. Although the 3.8 million units of traded shares in MTN accounted for about 76% of total market volume, thereby improving activity level. Going into today, in terms of market appreciation, we expect the index to close the session positive, while trading pattern remains the same. Over in Nigeria, we saw the market hold its negative run as our share index inched up by just 1 basis point. Among the day's gainers yesterday were Vitafoam, WAPCO, Onifla, and Fidelity Bank. And we saw just 2 sectoral indices close the day in the green, which was the NGX banking gaining 9 basis points, while the industrial goods sector went up by just 13 basis points, which was largely on the back of the 2.27 price appreciation in WAPCO. Moving on to market activity, this traded mixed as we saw volume improve by 13%, while market turnover fell by 25%, due to a combination of small and mid-cap names like Bremer Bank, UBA, and mutual benefits dominating activity charts. Going into today, after yesterday's mixed session with investors showing little enthusiasm, we expect markets to trade in similar pattern as investors await the outcome of the MPC meeting set to hold on tomorrow and Friday, where issues surrounding FX will be discussed. Thank you, and that'll be all from my end.
Thank you, Symbiot. We will now move to Sheikh from the BRVM. Good morning, Sheikh.
Hello, good morning. The BRVM confirms its recovery by recording at the end of the last week trading session a weekly success. There was a strong dynamism of the buyers leading to the BRVM composite ending with a performance of 0.78%. Although having been dominated in the exchange with regards to the balance of variation, with only 18 stocks in the green versus 21 stock in counter performance, the buyers allowed the market to end the week in a positive note by advancing the big cap such as Societe Generale and NCA Bank, which led the market. So NCA's stock per se occupied the first place on top of with a capital gain of 26.53%, reaching 6,200 CFA in terms of share price. the share didn't reach such levels for quite some time, and the NCA Bank Ivory Coast exploded its meter thanks to the very good result achieved in the first half of 2021. The second position is allocated to South Ivory Coast with an 11.14% capital gain. This was mainly due to all the actions in view of the attraction it aroused among investors who traded a total volume of 81,000, totaling 339 million CFA traded about that stock. In terms of the loser, we have Palm Ivory Coast, which achieved the largest discount of the week with a drop of 11.9%. Since the end of August, due to several technical indicators, they were navigating in an overheating zone, leading the value to continue to move in the wake of its downward trend. The other stock underperforming the previous week is Safka, whose share dropped by 10.9%. This was mainly due to the speculation despite the poor results achieved by the company. In terms of the bond market, the market closed. The capitalization of the bond market reached 7.076 trillion CFA, meaning a 0.17% drawback, mainly due to the partial repayment of the bond of Ivory Coast. The total weekly traded value stood at 21 billion CFA, mainly led by the Ivory Coast bond issue. In terms of the money market, the issuers were mainly Guinea-Bissau, Mali, and Ivory Coast. They intervened in the market, requesting over 75 billion CFA, but the investors came back with a 265% coverage rate, reaching an amount of 199 billion, but only 77 billion were absorbed by the market. That's it for the BRVM update. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheikh. We will now move to Omorige for fixed income and currencies. Good morning, Omorige.
Good morning, everybody. Despite the OMO repayments of about 38 billion that came into the system yesterday, system liquidity declined significantly to open at about 94.5 billion negative, coming from the 15.1 billion negative that was recorded on Monday. However, interbank rate declined by an average of about 38 basis points on the back of reduced funding pressure in the market yesterday, as OBB and overnight rate closed at 14% and 40.5% respectively. For today, we expect interbank rate to trade at similar levels, barring any significant change to system liquidity. The parallel market lost about 7 naira yesterday to trade at 557 naira to $1, while the annual window opened at 412.18 naira to $1. The highest rate that was recorded yesterday was 414.9 naira to $1, while the closing rate was 412.08 naira to $1. Brent and WTI both gained about 0.5%, yes, to open at 73.99 and $70.9 per barrel respectively today. The T-bills market traded on an active note yesterday with bullish sentiment seen on the short end of the benchmark curve. Trades were majorly consummated on the 28th July 2022 maturity, 11th August 2022 maturity, and the CBN Special NTB, that's the 29th November 2021 maturity, with average benchmark rate declining by about 9 basis points to close at 4.67% yesterday. The OMO market traded on a relatively active note yesterday, with buy-side pressure seen on the short-dated maturities on the back of the OMO repayments of about 38 billion that came into the system yesterday. Trades were majorly consummated on the 12th July 2022 maturity, while average benchmark rate declined by about 14 basis points to close at 5.96% yesterday. The bonds market traded on a relatively active note with bearish sentiment seen across the benchmark curve. We observe rates on the long end of the benchmark curve rise further as market participants continue to cherry pick attractive offers across the benchmark curve. Trades were majorly consummated on the mid to long end of the curve, particularly on the 2035, 2036, and the 2050 maturities, with average benchmark rates improving by about 7 basis points to close yesterday at 12.03%. The Eurobond market traded on a very active note with buy-side interest in on the long-dated sovereigns, that's the Nigeria 38, 2047, and the 2045, while we witnessed some sell-side pressure on the UBA 2022 and the Fidelity 2022 corporate Eurobond as investors tried to free up some cash for the new Access Bank Eurobond issuance. Access Bank is set to launch a 5-year paper at about 6.125%. The total issuance size is between $500 million to $1.5 billion US dollars. For our expectations today, we believe that the bonds market will trade cautiously in anticipation of the inflation report and the NTB auction results. We also expect the MPC meeting that is holding tomorrow and on Friday to corroborate the muted sentiment that we expect to play out in today's bonds market. For the TBs market, we expect it to trade on a very quiet note as market participants focus on the NTB auction that is holding today. At the auction, the DMO is offering a total of about 155.88 billion across the 3 usual tenors. For our rate expectation, we believe that the 91 days we close at 12.5%. The total amount on offer on that end is about 1.5 billion, while for the 182 days, the total amount on offer is about 5.92 billion. It closed at 3.499% at the last auction. We believe that the marginal rate on that end we maintain to close at most likely 3.5%. For the 364 days, the total amount on offer is about 148.36 billion. We believe that the auction will most likely close between 7.2% to 7.6%. We believe that a lot of players will take a cue from what happened at the last auction, where the DMO oversold and spike rate by about 40 basis points to 7.2%. And also we expect players to bid, to submit very high bids at this auction, which we eventually make the auction to most likely close between this band if the DMO decides to sell everything they have on offer or even oversell what they have on offer. We expect the marginal rate to close to increase compared to where it closed at the previous auction. That's why we are sticking to the 7.2 to 7.6 band. That concludes this for fixed income. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amorige. We will now move to Justina from Frontier Africa Reports with the updates. Good morning, Justina.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We start here from West Africa, Nigeria, where data that came in through this morning, some few minutes back, by the National Bureau of Statistics for the Nigerian CPI report. The CPI, the Consumer Price Index for August increased by 17.01% year on year. That's 0.37% lower than 17.38% recorded in July. On a month-on-month basis, the index rose 1.02% from 0.93% in July. Food rose by 20.30% versus 21.03% in July. Urban inflation stood at 17.59% versus 18.01% in July, while rural inflation pitched at 16.43% in August from 16.75% in July. That's all from the data we had coming in this morning. Then yesterday, a company named Institute of International Finance said global debt rose to a new record high of $296 trillion at the end of June after a slight decline in the first quarter. According to IIF, if the borrowing continues at this pace, global debt is expected to exceed $300 trillion. Yesterday, President Muhammadu Buhari sought Senate's approval for a $4 billion and 710 million pounds international loan to fund projects captured under the 2018 and 2021 borrowing plan. The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced that it will set up the Nigerian International Financial Center in the next 12 months. That's according to the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele. He said the center will be driven by technology and payment system infrastructure. In the Southern African region, Moody's Investor Service has raised Angola's foreign and local currency to B3 from CAA1 and maintained a stable outlook. And this is the first time the oil-producing country will get an upgrade by the credit company. Moody's says the decision was driven by assessment that Angola's sovereign credit profile is improving to be consistent with peers at the B3 rating level. Moody's now says that he expects the government's debt to GDP ratio to decline to 95% this year and below 80% in 2023 from 122% in 2020. Steinhoff yesterday says it has raised 7.3 billion rand from the placement of 370 million shares in its subsidiary, Pepco Holdings. The sale, according to Steinhoff, will help it fund 25 billion rand settlement proposal. Also yesterday, Zambia's newly appointed mines minister said the government will ensure that sanity is brought back to the mining sector before 2026. In Sports Pesa risks losing at least all of its assets in the UK worth 2 billion Kenyan shillings in the next 60 days. And that's unless the company's proprietors showed sufficient reason why it ought to remain registered. In Tanzania, the government has increased its stake in Shelter Africa after paying 297 million shillings in additional capital. According to the Pan-African Housing Development Financier, the additional stake now takes Tanzania's shareholding to 1.54%, up from 0.3% held previously. Now in North Africa, we have Bank Misr says it intends to launch the first Egyptian investment fund in gold trade sector, and is currently concluding the required final steps before the official unveiling of the fund. While in Morocco, Imorent Invest aims to diversify its funding sources by launching a commercial paper issuance program capped at 3 million dirhams. In Tunisia, AMI Assurances is set to increase its share capital to more than 87 million dinars from 40.98 million through the issue of some new shares. And that's the stories, that's some of the headlines we have here from Frontier Africa Reports. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Justina. We have now come to the question and answer portion of the meeting. If you would like to speak, you may raise your hand and we will give you an opportunity to speak, or you may drop your questions in the Q&A box and we will treat them. While we wait for questions, a quick announcement. Vetiva Capital, CGF Burst, and IC Securities will be having the maiden edition of the West African Capital Markets Conference, with the theme for the maiden edition being West African Capital Markets, Journey So Far, and the Opportunities Ahead. The conference is scheduled to hold on Thursday, September 23rd, 2021, and it will be facilitated by our media partner, Frontier Africa Reports. The meeting will be hosted in both English and French. Whilst 2021 has been widely considered a year of global economic recovery following the ravages of the pandemic last year, equities across West Africa have traded in mixed directions so far in the year, reflecting the peculiar structural challenges facing the economies of individual countries in the region. In light of this, the conference speaks to provide a platform to discuss the performance and outlook of capital markets across the West African region. We have put together a lineup of seasoned speakers across the region as panelists at the conference. If you would like to register for the conference, you may reach out to sales@vetiva.com and we will send you a registration link. We will now take questions, and we have a question from Andrew Chijoke, and the question is, please, the CPI for August, could it be, I'm sorry. That question has been responded to. Okay, I see we have no further questions today. On behalf of Vetiva Capital Management and our media partners at Frontier Africa Reports, we would like to thank everyone for joining us again. And for those interested in registering for the conference, you may send an email to sales@vetiva.com and they will send you a registration link. We continue to encourage everyone to keep safe, and thank you for joining us on our meeting this morning. Good morning.